So, hello again. Um, it's been not that long, I guess, but it's been a few months, I think, since my last upload, and it's been a very long time, at least over a year since I've made a recording on the PC with the webcam and such, because a lot of the time I would just go on a walk or whatever, use my phone, and that's pretty convenient, I guess. Not like this is hard to set up either, but I don't know. I just decided that, well, I wanted to show a few things um, on the computer or whatever, so it's pretty much the only way to do that. Um, and I could add a little bit of music, which I will in a few moments here, but yeah, haven't made a video in a little bit, and since Rudy just uploaded that little bonfire one, I figured what the hell. Um, Might as well make my own, not so much an update video per se, but just some video. There's no obligation to do it. It's just, I don't know. I've what did he say in his video that he's felt kind of blank recently, or his mind's been kind of like, I guess he didn't hasn't had much to talk about, he feels. I kind of have a different way of wording it. Is that there's always things going through my mind, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it there. Um, but just more and more recently, I've just had less desire to speak those things on my mind, I guess. Speak them out loud, I guess. I don't know. Just haven't had as much desire to share some of those thoughts. Not so much that I think that they're like any different. It's just like I don't know. I guess more and more as you kind of see kind of how this place is fake or artificial or a simulation of in a sense or whatever things I've mentioned before. It's just like I realize kind of the not so much futility, but the kind of like almost feeling of talking into a mirror, talking to yourself kind of thing, where you just kind of like, well, everything I say is just kind of like a reflection of me in a way or whatever. So it's like everything is just reflecting back or whatever. So I don't know. It just and especially with like the online space and stuff, it's just so every day. Like it's just so fake. It's just so fake. And it makes you like want to share less and less online because you're just kind of like really it really does feel like you're just talking to like bots and stuff, and I guess it's not that much different from the people in our physical lives outside of the internet in a lot of ways, but even more fake, if that makes sense. um I don't know. That's just one of the reasons I haven't been sharing as much. I just think about it, and I'm just like, it just kind of comes to my mind. I'm just like, should I talk about this or should I share this or whatever? And then I'm just like, you know, the 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 voice in the back of my mind just says, "What's the point? What's, what's the point?" Most of the time, at this that's usually what happens. Um, in this case, it took me a little while to get started on this little recording here because I wanted to set up some things as well as I was just kind of procrastinating. I realized that nowadays I don't really play games that much anymore, like at all. Like besides Daggerfall Unity and working on mods for that, coding for that mod and stuff, um, actually playing any games, I haven't played like any in like probably almost this whole year. It's felt like I just haven't played like any game besides, and I don't even necessarily consider that playing. That's like I'm working on aspects of it, and I'm when I'm testing it, one might consider that playing because I'm pressing the play button, but that's not really like playing. Like I would consider playing something where it's not related to working on that kind of thing. I guess it's just kind of like fully trying to immerse yourself in the experience kind of thing. Um, So yeah, like actually playing by that definition, I haven't played like anything, and I haven't really. I've had some desires, but not really that much. It's just kind of uh, once again, it just comes up to that kind of thing where it's like I just thinking I'm like, what's the point? um, or I just think like that's never a good mentality to have. I know that, but it still comes up like, and usually I think it's like if I'm being real, I think it's more comes down to kind of like a laziness thing in a way, or it's like I just like a lot of people, I've become more the the way that I um consume things, if you want to call it that, has become more like passive consumption, such as people that watch movies. I don't really watch any shows or movies necessarily. I just watch like YouTube and stuff. Um, but that is not a active activity. You're not doing anything. You're just kind of like watching something else do something. You're not besides clicking the video, you're not actively participating in that thing or whatever. Whereas with a video game, obviously it is a much less passive thing unless you're playing a particularly shitty cinematic only kind of game sort of deal or one of those like passive stupid games that mobile games love to be. Um, but even just that action of just like launching a game, that effort is just like, ugh, I don't even want to bother kind of deal. And it's just much more of an active thing, and I just don't feel like doing it. It's that little bit of effort or energy is like, I don't feel like doing it. Just like some other things. Um, at least that's kind of how I see it more. Not so much that I'm like, oh, I don't enjoy playing games anymore. It's just kind of I don't know. But what I have been doing is like I realized I just kind of listen to music for like I'll just listen to music for like hours, and it'll be like sometimes I'll be listening to the same song, and I'll just be sitting there like the same song. Anytime it stops, just repeat it again. Like certain songs, just repeat it, and it'll just go on for like hours like that. Uh, and I mean, it just kind of comes down to I just kind of like zone out and just kind of like almost like fall asleep to an extent, like semi fall asleep kind of deal. And not that I necessarily see a problem with that. It's just something I've observed. Like, yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of games. They do just feel like they take too much effort in a way, or whatever. You just don't feel like playing the game. You just like, I just feel like passively doing something kind of deal. Um, but I guess that's what I wanted to kind of say. That was a pretty long, rambly introduction, but just stuff I've been thinking about. Um, I guess I will switch to the desktop view now. And window and window, and I will put on some background music. And this time it is going to be, for right now, these Bomberman Hero music and a little bit of Earthbound, possibly, if we go that far. But yeah, it's surprisingly hard to find like good background music in a way. It's like you got this lo-fi crap and a lot of it. I don't know. It can be difficult. But Bomberman Hero has very good has a good few tracks that are good for that kind of thing, I think. One of the primary things I wanted to talk about topics was just something that I experienced today, this morning. Right now, it's, I mean, you can see the desktop, I guess it's like almost 11 p.m. But, yeah, when I woke up this morning, about, yeah, what was it, 2 days ago? Or was that 3 days ago? I think it would be 3 days ago. Let me check. It would have been... yeah. 3 days ago. I made some... For the first time, I made, like, a loaf of bread, in this Dutch oven that I got, this, like, little 5-quart cast iron Dutch oven online or whatever. It was, you know, what was it, like $30 or some shit? Not too bad for a cast iron kind of oven, I guess. Not the worst. I don't know. I just wanted to try making a loaf of like bread with the, like, kind of like crust, hard crust on the ends, the outside, and soft on the inside kind of deal. Whatever you'd call that, like a kind of you know, not like a bread, sandwich bread, but like one of those like more circular type of, or dome type of breads. So yeah, I was trying to, I made that. It definitely didn't come out the way I expected, but it was also not like terrible either. For the first time, it was better than I expected. And especially how it looked initially going in there, it came out better than I expected in that sense, but it didn't look that pretty, that's for sure. Taste and texture. Taste is okay. Probably could have put even more salt, even though I thought I put a lot. And the texture was kind of like an English muffin, actually. It was kind of interesting, especially toasted, but besides the point. This morning, for whatever reason, I was thinking, okay, well, what happens if you put bread flour instead of, like, all-purpose flour? Because I used bread flour for the first time in this recipe. I was like, okay, just out of curiosity, like, what would happen if you put bread flour in a cake, or cake batter? And, you know, I could assume what would happen. Like, it would probably be a decent amount denser, a lot more chewy, and probably not rise as much. Probably. So probably not a desirable result or whatever. Much different consistency and everything. I was like, alright, just look it up. And I did. I was like, well, what happens if you use bread flour in cake batter? And then, you know, you get a bunch of results, a bunch of bullshit. Well, maybe not necessarily bullshit, just a bunch of results. For whatever reason, I eventually clicked down to this one. Can you use bread flour to make a cake? EmilyBaked.com. Well, EmilyBaked.com. You know, looks like so many of these other modern bullshit websites out there. And I was just reading through it, and it was like, okay, you know, kind of what I expected kind of deal. Not much out of the ordinary, and almost all the ones that you read, they almost say the same thing. Hint, hint. That's kind of a foreshadowing to what the point is. We'll be in a few moments here. Then I got to this, experimenting with bread flour, and experiments with bread flour, how to perform with mixed other types of flour, blah, 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 all this bullshit. To see how the bread flour affected the texture and taste of the final product. We also compare, yeah, okay. So you're like, oh, there's a link there. That sounds like relevant to what I'm asking. More relevant. I want to see what the results were. So yeah, you click this. Bread flour affected. It says about the experiments. And then the page says, how does cinnamon affect bread dough? And you're like, what? That's not related to what your hyperlink was saying it was related to. I don't see any results about bread flour. This is cinnamon. Okay. So I was like, all right. That's a little, it was kind of almost a synchronicity, because I did put cinnamon in the flour I used, or in the bread that I used, just because I was like, what the hell. I figured it would give it a nice smell, and it did. It didn't really affect the taste that much. Like, I didn't really taste cinnamon that much at all. But you could definitely, when you smelled it, especially when it was proofing, you could definitely smell cinnamon, which was pretty nice. But whatever this shit was saying, but I went down, and I don't know why I started reading this first paragraph here, and it just popped out of me, like, right there. I was like, what the fuck? And I even screenshotted it. Like, right there. I was like, what the fuck, dude? And I know this isn't surprising in the least bit. Especially when you just read the formatting and the fact that it's any modern website or whatever nowadays. But it just popped out at me, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I just woke up and I looked up this thing, and then I'm reading this shit, and I'm just like, really? It says it right there in the second sentence of this fucking paragraph of this page, as an AI language model. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this literally just, boom, this all written by fucking AI, ChatGPT, whatever, some AI language model, and it just I know this has been shown before, like, even probably Matt has shown on some of the articles, like, there, like, I don't know if it showed it that blatantly, like, it said as an AI language model, but just reading through this fucking blog, supposedly, quote-unquote, blog, baking blog by this fucking fake person, Emily whatever, and then you go to the about, and it doesn't suggest anything that this is, like, something specifically written by an AI or some bullshit. It's like, oh yeah, Emily, I almost guarantee 2000% this Emily does not fucking exist. Whoever the fuck this fake character is for this website. And I mean, if you don't want to go that conspiratorial, you say, well, they're just lazy people using taking advantage of the AI language model shit and just writing these garbage articles and just spitting them out there for the search engines and stuff, just to spam out stuff. But it just, I don't know why this like just triggered me so badly when I just saw it. I was like, what the fuck, dude, man. It just confirmed. I mean, you could see, like, that it's all written by AI. Just the way that it spaces these paragraphs, it goes on and on ad nauseum. Next song, I guess. But it goes on and on, like, just overly explaining everything as ChatGPT does, like how it does, how it quote unquote speaks or writes. But I don't know, man. The fact that it just it's just like, you know, the not milk showing itself right there, like right in your fucking face. By the way, this is all AI generated nonsense, as if you already didn't know that. But let's just show it right here as an AI language model, blah 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 blah. It's like, oh my god. And it's just everything now. And I say now as if this is like a new thing. It's not. Like, just like basically everything else, this AI shit became big since this, basically around the time of CV, like a year after that or whatever, somewhere around there. And now it's in everybody's consciousness about it. So it's just like there, okay, but it's so obvious if you just go back even a few years before that. And even more than I guarantee, like, probably all of it since the internet's existed, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just all bullshit. It's just fucking artificially generated stuff or whatever. Like, I know people would say the old internet, but I don't know. It probably was much more human back then. But like now, it is literally just like most of it AI generated. And there's been videos I've watched even recently where people are talking about, you know, more mainstream people like Some Ordinary Gamer and all that crap normie stuff, mentioning the dead internet theory and stuff. And I've already made videos about this beforehand, like that one video I had, the dead internet theory and all that shit, just kind of rambling about it. And it's just like now it's just so obvious that like much more than half of this internet or whatever that is just fucking bots talking to bots, talking to organic bots or whatever, you know, the NPCs or shit. And just even going like through which makes me like not want to share stuff in a way. Like when I have progress on my mod and stuff, like I used to share on the Discord server a lot. I used to help more often on the server. Like I would try to give support to people that were like new, getting into Daggerfall Unity and all that. With various like newbie questions and shit. But then just after a while I got like kind of worn out from it. Not so much worn out, but I just got like annoyed by it after a while. It's just like, man, these fucking people, they just come in here, people, quote unquote, I don't know. As far as I know, they're fucking, most of them are probably not real at all. They're just bots kind of shit. They just pop in and then ask stupid questions or ask some questions that they can answer themselves. But, you know, that's how it works. They never do. But even worse, like, they don't stick around. They don't contribute to the community or anything like that at all. They just kind of parasitic in a way. Like, and you're just like, man, I just don't even feel, just fuck it. Let these fucking mods on here, let them deal with that bullshit if they care so much. Like me, I'm just like, yeah, fuck most of these people. Unless I can tell that there's somebody that might stick around for a little longer kind of deal. Like, a lot of the time, just like, nah, fuck it. I just don't even say anything. I'm like, screw it. But yeah, I don't share as much because I'm just like, why? What is the point of sharing unless I have a good idea that, I don't know, that they're a real person kind of deal, or it's just, I don't know, these online, not so much relationships, but like, acquaintances or whatever. Like, these online interactions, they're just so, like, empty. They're just so empty. That that I don't know, like the only interactions that I have like feel genuinely interested in at this point is like people that I know are on a similar frequency where they could see through the fakeness of reality and stuff at this point, like, you know, Rudy and Matt and some other people within that kind of like general group kind of thing. But like outside that, like other hobbies, I'm just like I don't feel like interacting with these people that I don't even have a good idea if they really exist anyway. So it's just like, fuck it. So even on that Discord, like I don't really share that much because I'm just like, what's the point? Yeah, like I share for what? For like probably mostly NPCs or bots to just give me a little bit of praise, maybe. Most of the time, just ask stupid questions, if anything, and give suggestions, give me ideas or whatever. I'm like, I don't need ideas. Ideas are fucking worthless. Ideas are worthless unless you are actually implementing it. Ideas are essentially worthless, as you know, most creative people know. After a little bit of time of doing those things, ideas are worth less than a dime a dozen. But on the AI flooding the internet thing as well, I do look at pornography, not like all the time. Like I would definitely not consider myself like a coomer or a goon or whatever the terms are nowadays. Like when I was younger, I used to do it a lot more. But now, like, I don't know, there's always just been like a fascination I have just kind of like looking at some of that stuff. But on this one website, that's like for mostly majority like hentai stuff, like that kind of pornography or whatever. It gets a lot of uploads. Like, how do I describe it? It's like the front page has like a list of things or whatever you want to say, like a list of uploads of like a collection of images kind of deal. Like it can be anything, like thousands of images of whatever, or 5 images or 1 image, just whatever, just a collection of stuff that people upload. And the newest stuff gets put to the top of the list, let's say, or you know, the list of most recent. So if you ever refresh the page, if you refresh the page like every few hours, there'll be new stuff on there like all the time. So it's constant activity. But since the AI image shit, I mean, this is everywhere, but just on there, I just found it funny how, like, on this topic of the dead internet shit and the AI, like, flooding everything and all that stuff, now on the sites, it's just on that site at least, and everywhere really, but on that site specifically, like, it's just a flood of this AI generated fucking crap. Like, and if somebody was just looking at it, you know, people that don't have the visual discernment, literacy, or whatever the term is, to see that something was like not drawn or whatever, like it's just AI generated whatever, like it just has that look. If you just show them that they wouldn't have any qualm about it. They wouldn't have any, like, maybe after a while they might, but like just a few images like here and there, they wouldn't notice. But you know, somebody that is more visually literate to that, it becomes real easy to just see like how much shit on there is just AI generated shit. And a lot of the galleries that are AI generated they have them marked like with a not always a tag, but in the title of the gallery, it'll be like AI generated or something like that. So you just see like on the page, like sometimes you'll have like 10 fucking entries that were like 10 entries like all in a group that were just like AI generated, all that shit. The same thing, like not the same thing, but like the same thing, just all AI generated, some different genre or some bullshit, some different character, and it's just hundreds of images of this. It's like it just looks so similar because of everything, just how the AI generation shit works. But it's basically just like garbage just being uploaded like en masse at all the fucking time, and I think it's kind of hilarious. It's just kind of one of those things. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how much is just being constantly uploaded, and even on places like Reddit for a while, on a lot of these subreddits, and I'm sure it still is all the time. Like just people flooding posts of like AI generated crap or whatever. And even on that hentai website, just because a gallery is not, they didn't explicitly say it's AI generated, doesn't mean it wasn't. That's the thing. So like probably even more, not probably, definitely even more that's uploaded on there now is just like AI generated shit, and it's just like, what the fuck, man? And then you go on YouTube, and there's so much. I don't know if I talked about this. Like I think I did in maybe one of my other videos, I'm sure. But you go on YouTube, and depending on your recommendations and what you click on or whatever, and just like certain topics, it's just the videos are just fucking AI generated, and it's creepy. Or not, it's not so much like it is creepy, but it's just weird and fucking bizarre. Like so much of it. My dad, especially, like if he's watching his, what I call his cartoons, like his political nonsense and other shit like that he gets recommended involving like political stuff to complain about, that kind of thing. And he just realized, oh my god, it is so obvious that almost all these videos are like AI generated. So many of them that it gets recommended, at least. That the voices are like one of the clearest things that they're AI generated. It's like you could just tell the monotone, fairly monotone voice. Like it's not like Microsoft Sam, but it's a voice that you could tell is not. It's definitely not a person reading it. It's some AI generated shit. And the script, obviously, just like ChatGPT script written or some crap. Just like the images put up are just like whatever pulled from anywhere, just garbage put together. The title, just the entire thing is AI generated or something. It's just fucking bullshit spammed on there. And this is so many videos. And then what was it? Somebody recommended, not recommended, but somebody mentioned some channel or something that was like AI generated not let's plays, but like some like one of those Minecraft video series or something where it's like characters, like two specific characters, like, oh man, this is crazy and wild and we're doing Minecraft and silly stuff. Like I don't know what you call that, like some weird like acted series kind of deal, but it's like in that case apparently the entire channel is like AI generated shit. That one was bizarre because like even if somebody didn't tell me it was AI generated, I wouldn't really be able to tell just because of how like shit that these like that these kind of videos like those are made for like kids, how like crap they are already. So it was difficult. It would have been difficult for me to just like say outright like that's definitely AI generated, but just hearing it, I was like, yeah, that is fucking weird, dude. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted, in that case, I wanted to just kind of talk about that because it was just fucking strange. Just thinking how, like, yeah. And it's just kind of devolving more and more, like, every day. And even these, like, normies are kind of getting that vibe, it seems. Where, like, yeah, the dead internet theory is definitely true. And it's been true, I'm sure, for a lot of time, if not most of this fucking internet's life. I wouldn't be surprised, or whatever, since the internet's been around. But now it's just becoming real obvious. Um, and more people are kind of coming to that same conclusion. Um, maybe it's just me as one of the few other conscious beings, uh, reverberating that frequency out, or whatever you want to put it. Um, and bringing it into the collective conscience, or whatever, that, like, kind of going, trying to try, like, thinking about just not wanting to be on the internet more and more to some extent, or whatever, like, how just artificial it all is. Just like, fuck this. So many interactions on it are just, like, empty and devoid of anything, like, genuine, kind of, in a way. Besides, like, the very rare occasions, like, people that I see as people that are actually, look at the world in a similar way that I do, or whatever. But outside of those very rare cases, most of it is just, like, useless and empty, void of soul and all that kind of thing. Uh, Another song. Um, as usual, I mean, there was other things I wanted to talk about. Um, and this is why I should write stuff down, but I just never feel like it. But that was the thing that I thought about today. That really, I was just like, it just had me thinking. And I'm just like, I feel like talking about this because it's so fucking weird. I talked about some of the other stuff more at the beginning, but what I've been kind of up to is, like, hasn't really changed. I've just kind of been doing baking and cooking and all that stuff more. Haven't really been bothering with the gardening as much, just because now it's getting colder anyway. Cucumbers, the cucumber plants, they've all died because they really don't like when it gets cold. Understandable, but they grew more than I expected, which is pretty cool. It was pretty cool seeing, like, plants really are amazing, man. But it's just, just everything in this place is amazing, but plants are really amazing things here. And even back there, the string bean or green bean plants that I had, they were actually doing pretty good. They, like, in the beginning of the season, there was, like, nothing growing. Or at least they weren't flowering and they weren't fruiting. So I was just like, I don't know what's up with that. But then, like, much later, like, more recently, like, I just realized, I was like, wow, like, they started to flower and fruit a pretty good amount and stuff. Not, like, that huge amount, but a lot better than I expected for them. So that was pretty cool to see. And the fact that they seem to be still going alright out there. They're not, like, yellowing and dying like the cucumbers did. So I guess they're much more hardy to, the cold. But I'm sure once we get, like, closer to even closer to freezing and below, then they'll probably start not doing so well. But yeah, and even the things that I got in the front, the Swiss chard, they grew way better than I expected. Pretty cool. Even though they weren't the plants I thought they were. I thought they were rhubarb, but they were Swiss chard. But, kind of more like a spinach than anything. But pretty cool plants, and they grew a lot better than I had ever expected those to. It was just amazing. And it was funny because after I stopped, like, babying them so much, especially, like, I watered them even less and less after a point, they started to grow better, it seemed. I was just like, the less that I in a way, the less that I tried to, like, take care of them, they started to just kind of do better. It was like, yeah, just like us, we don't need as much food or water as we think we do. Just these plants, like that. It's been relatively dry recently, and they're still doing fine. Like, they don't need to be watered every day. That's ridiculous. It's completely unnecessary, if you ask me. People overwater the shit out of their plants for no real good reason. And as I said, I'd been oh wait, did I have that up right? Yeah, I did. I've been baking and cooking, not so much more as I was before, but somewhat consistently. I just kind of look for opportunities when to do it and when I feel like doing it. Like, recently I made a olive oil cake, which is a pretty simple cake. I just wanted to make something simple, but yeah, it came out pretty decent. Though I was surprised, the olive oil I bought was like one of those probably slightly more expensive brands, and it was cold pressed and all that stuff. But it wasn't as flavorful as I was kind of seeing other people describe olive oil being. So, might be the case that I have to be more selective next time if I want, like, a flavorful olive oil. Definitely not bad or anything, it's just, like, not as impressive of a olive oil flavor that I would think it should be. So that's why I was like, eh. And yeah, the bread was kind of not that pretty, but actual texture-wise and taste, not too bad. I made something that was pretty good. I had 2 pie crust portions that I didn't feel like... Those were kind of failures, the pie crust. It was just really annoying to roll out. But then I decided, well, I'll just use these 2 that I got in the freezer. And I made some, like, ham and cheese strombolis kind of deals with them. Definitely not like a stromboli with pizza dough that you'd probably make, but they came out okay. Used the pie doughs and it worked out. This other thing I made that was surprisingly good was like it was like just a whole... It was kind of like a cream... I'll call it like a corn quiche, kind of. It was like consistency of quiche, or more like a frittata, I guess, than a quiche, where it was much more like the solid cooked egg. And a lot of corn and a little bit of well, not a little bit, but yeah, and some heavy cream. So like, yeah, like a corn quiche kind of deal, like a very thick corn, not even like thick at all. It was just like solid, like egg pudding in a way, but I mean not egg pudding, corn pudding. But yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I made gingerbread muffins what was it, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, like 10 days ago or something. I thought they looked surprisingly good. And they smelled very good when I was making them and stuff. But, the taste was good. Pretty good. The texture was it was surprisingly dense and a little bit sticky just because they used a lot of molasses in the recipe. So that shouldn't have been too surprising. It definitely weren't bad, but, definitely went better with a little bit of, like, butter as well as some, milk or whatever, like some kind of liquid to wash it down. And I also made on that same day, like, these cookie cakes, which is like a combination of cookie dough recipe plus cake dough, like a mixture. Cookie cake, it's more cookie than cake, but you cook it in a pan instead of just like individual cookies. And these chocolate ones with peanut butter chips, peanut butter chips, yeah, whatever you want to call them, came out pretty good. I made them in these 4-inch little pans because I wanted to use them, and I thought I don't know if they came out amazing in those pans, but they were okay. They were pretty decent. The taste was definitely good. I made a frittata. That came out pretty good. I made some marzipan, which I'd never made before. And the first time I did it, but not too bad. I made another. In this case, I made just a not chocolate one, but a normal cookie cake in a 9-inch pan, and that came out good. And I made a bunch of other shit, like, over the past few months, and I'm still making stuff. Tomorrow I might make some cranberry oatmeal cookies, maybe, if I feel like it. It's one of those things that my mom, she's always buying bullshit from, like, the store, and even though it's... I don't know, it's in her fucking NPC programming to do it, so it's like, whatever. I don't even question it anymore. It's like, alright, you're going to buy stuff even though we don't need it? Okay, fine, go ahead. I just try to work around it now. But, yeah, I try to work with what we have. And I try to make new stuff as much as possible instead of making the same stuff over and over. At the very least, to just learn more things and experiment with it. But, yeah. That's been pretty cool. And besides that, I've, as I said, just been kind of like watching a lot of videos, listening to a lot of music and stuff, and trying to work on my mod stuff for Daggerfall Unity and stuff. And recently it's been for one of my first mods that I made. Really, I will say the first mod that I made that was like actually like something. And that was the physical combat overhaul, and I'm working on this, like, basically, like, overhaul to the game, to the mod itself, like, recoding it and everything, like, changing the mechanics and stuff like that, and trying to make more features for it and all that stuff, like, an overhaul of the overhaul. Since it was my first, I figure, you know, why not try to remake it, make it even better kind of deal, and, I think it's been going okay. It's just been, as it goes, just the more and more you try to add features and stuff with these, like, any game or mod in general and stuff, it just becomes more and more work that it takes. Like, even though that sounds pretty obvious, but that is how it is. It's like, it just kind of almost exponentially becomes longer and longer how long it takes. And I've not been, like, the most, consistent in how I've been, working on it, and, like, how much progress I make every day or whatever. So that kind of mostly what it comes down to is like how much progress I decide to make one day or whatever. A lot of time you just don't feel like doing anything. It's like, eh. But it's I think it's turning out okay. And I mean, it's always a thing, like, you know, thinking to the other stuff, mods that I want to work on and stuff, and then you just see how long it takes to make even one of a certain complexity and size, and it's just like, man, goddamn. But hey, I'm just one dude, and I mostly do it for my own enjoyment kind of deal. It's like, I ain't working on this 8 hours consistently a day kind of shit. I just don't have the focus or motivation to do it every day, like, consistently, I guess. Even though I should, I guess. But it just doesn't happen like that. And the way that time is moving so quickly, it's just every day, like like even just cooking some of those things, like cooking 2 or 3 things, like the whole day is gone afterwards. It's just nuts. I kind of wish more people talked about that, just because, I mean, maybe the fact that people talk about it, it makes it more of a reality. But it's just something I experience and think of every day, man. Like, I'll just look at the clock and I'm like, holy shit. Where the hell did the day go? Like, oh, and I don't even like, recently I've been staying up a little bit later than usual. Like, usually the latest, like, 1:12 or something, like 12 a.m., 1 a.m. or whatever, which isn't super late. But for a while, I was going to bed at like 10, 10:30, 11, that kind of thing. Pretty normal time, I think, for most people. And then I'd be waking up at like, whatever, 7, 8 a.m. But then after like 1 p.m., 2 p.m., like the whole, like especially 4 p.m. or some shit, it's just like, oh my god, like the whole day just fucking flies by after that. Or even earlier, it's like, where the hell did the day go? It's just nuts. And yeah, I don't know, that just wasn't a thing when I was younger or whatever. Like, it's just like every day, and it's just, I don't know how the normal people, quote unquote, how they do anything. And in a lot of cases they don't, but they just kind of don't acknowledge that it's weird. They just kind of like, oh, they just kind of blame themselves or whatever. Like, oh yeah, I'm just getting slower in my age or some shit like that. They don't ever think like something seems off. Like, why is it everything's go so quick now or something? I don't know. It's just strange. The strangest thing for me is just how fast time goes. And as I said, there's the good and the bad that comes with that. But it's just weird. It's just one of the weirdest things for me. I wish I had more desire to kind of talk about the stuff I've been working on, but it's just like the specifics of it. But it's just so like specific, and there's not much to really explain that that I think anybody would find besides myself might find interesting. So it's like, fuck it. I'll put this on for a little bit. I don't think I'm gonna have that much more to say, honestly, in this video. I mean, it's almost an hour, so I've probably already said quite enough. This is a good song, though. Boy Meets Girl, Earthbound. You want to see most of what I've been doing in terms of just like pure time investment hours? Just exactly what you just saw there. Just sitting there a lot of times with either my hand on my like this or my face like this, and I'm basically like half asleep, just listening to some song or some playlist of songs, whatever. That was something that I think I've realized, if I'm being honest with myself, that it's probably not something that's in the cards for me. And I think that, at least in this case, is making my own game. Like, I think every person that's into games in any way or has been into games has thought about that. He's like, oh yeah, what if I made my own game, kind of thing. And I for a little while there, for a few months, 2, 3 months, whatever, I definitely tried it to some extent, or at least I was playing with the idea, and I was just going through these motions and learning the stuff. Using the engine I was gonna use, the game building engine kind of deal. And I just realized, I'm like, man, I don't think this is for me, is at least making a solo game kind of shit. It was just, like, I don't know, I just found so much more satisfaction and kind of, like, more desire to do it with, like, modding existing games instead of, like, making a whole new game myself kind of deal. Not that I didn't enjoy doing it, it was just like, man, this would take so long and so much effort and so much commitment for that one thing. And I don't know, like, it just, I just don't see it being something I, like, when I think about it realistically, it's just, like, something I don't see myself wanting to commit so much time to one singular game or some shit like that. I enjoy the more smaller scale kind of, like, piecemeal kind of things that I can do with mods, which is like changing specific things and putting them into another game. I don't know. It's just so much more less giant in scope on itself. Like, I can make giant scope mods if I wanted to, but overall, usually it is a much smaller package overall than on a individual level than one game kind of thing. I hope eventually I get more, like, I've been getting into making sound effects a lot, which I think I'm not too bad at. Like, a good few of my mods have their own custom sound effects, and I think I've done a pretty good job with a lot of those. Even though I just kind of take sounds from online or something, existing sounds, and, like, mix them and edit them to what I want kind of deal, which is usually how it goes, honestly. But I would eventually like to try and make my own kind of, like, music, kind of like a lot of these video games have, like these old school video games like SNES and stuff. This synth music kind of deal. Then I see all these setups that people have, like, where you have to have, like, a fucking thousands of dollars of equipment to, like, synthesizers and bullshit, and I'm just like, god damn, man. And I'm sure that stuff's not really that necessary, but I don't know. It's one of those things that nobody really seems to have, like, I guess none of these, end of the day, these creative things, people really have, like, a set out plan on how to actually, like, do them from start to finish kind of shit. It's just kind of like pieces here and there. They just the end of the day, you just have to figure it out yourself. But I think really the audio part of most things, I realize, is kind of the most important for me. With these games and everything, it, like, at the end of the day, at least in how I remember them, it's definitely the audio aspects that stick the most, not so much the visuals or even the gameplay in a lot of cases. It's just, like, those parts of my memory stick the most, is the music, primarily that. And just in general, I love music. And I guess it kind of makes sense in a way, is that if this entire reality and universe, whatever you want to call it, is made out of, like, energy and frequencies, I guess sound is a very pure expression of that, or pure version of that in a way. I guess. All I know is that I really like music, and it's not something I would have realized when I was younger or whatever, but I realize now is just like, I care a lot more about sound and music than I could have ever really imagined. I could have ever really imagined when I was younger, I guess. But yeah, it is now quite late, and I'd like to upload this before I go to bed, just to for the sake of getting that done. But yeah, I guess I talked about what I wanted to talk about for now, and definitely quite a long update of ways, mostly just rambling shit. But hey, what are you gonna do? Haven't done like this one like this in a long time, so yeah, I don't know. But thanks for listening, and thanks for watching, and hope you are doing as well as you can in this little video game simulation of ours. So either way, take care.